Yeah, I'm not gonna chase that. I've had this here since really we closed above, but almost came into it once. I still like the idea of coming back down into it if we're gonna remain bullish, because we could pick up some sell side on the way down as well. And then I like that midpoint of the weekly. Yeah, ES&NQ did hold that, but we'll see if it can't keep up. Hold its volume imbalance. It's also the high of that opening range gap too, so we may fall right through this. At that point, 1/4% risk, so it's not too much. We'll look if we can't get one more this afternoon. I already had the winner this morning, so. But I like the idea of trying to remain bullish at this point. We've completely traced into CPI's range, but we're still holding the actual lowest discount, which I liked. So we've held that with the bodies. We've cleared liquidity now once here, and then we clear that low. Inverted that volume imbalance that we'd been kind of looking at in the higher time frame. And then ever since there, really just respecting discounts. So we're just going to try to catch that bullish continuation rather than the sell-off. We'll see though. Hold the discount, I like that. Respect fair value gaps. Displacement. Yeah, that was interesting, huh, right here. I wasn't even here for CPI, so when I got here at 9:30, I had just seen that. I'm not sure what caused that at all, but yeah, we'll see if we can't, right? So at this point, this would be almost like a false bear signal is what we'd want to see. So like, if we're going to come down into this entry, that means we're going to break this low and we're leaving a bearish fair value gap. That would be like that YouTube model, right, to go lower. But if we're going to expect that the actual overall market narrative is bullish, higher prices, that's kind of when those setups would fail, and that's what we'd want to see. If we're off sides, we'll either just fall right through this, or after bouncing off that and trading into the fair value gap, that'll hold us. But the fact that we have, right, first presented right there, previous day high as well, that's kind of what we're using. We're going to use the first presented for the entry. I think that the previous day high will probably be what it tries to draw into, and then stop loss will be below the swing point. Five-minute fair value gap as well, which is kind of what we're anchoring that to. So higher time frame inefficiency paired with the first presented as we're trading into that weekly fair value gap. So as we said, we just want to see if we can't continue the bullishness. If we fall right through this and we end up closing below first presented, we'll kind of reassess, because we may be able to actually catch another run lower if we're going to keep trying to just sweep lows, it seems like. But there's entry. We'll see if we can't hold the 5-minute. As we said, either we fall right through this if we're going to be like just real bearish and we don't even want to give a false setup. If we're going to present that fake bearish setup, then we're going to retrace into this bearish fair value gap that's right here. That premium. From there, we most likely would see then price actually hold and reject if we're going to kind of have objectives of lower prices. But I like the swing low. I don't want to see us actually attempt to retest this, push up through that, of course. Which at that point, kind of like to hold for a little bit longer of a partial at a high, but 5 handles, 6 handles would be inside. We'll see. We do have, this was the original volume imbalance. What's that? That's the high. That's what we got stuck at. So maybe we actually can, if we're going to want to give a quick spike, that'll be one area of a partial. Okay, well, we're in. We'll see what happens. Not much to do. Time was this 1:30, so that's actually the first presented fair value gap of the afternoon as well. So yeah, I do think if we end up coming up here, that'd be a pretty key area in price. Like if we were to get above that, displace above that, you could almost stack a position there. I would trust that to try to run into these highs. We may do that. Let's see. Because we want the 5 minute to hold as well. It's fair value gap. And then we kind of want to negate the SMT that has formed between the two indices, right? As we said, NQ didn't run that high, so we'd want to actually see NQ run these highs. Kind of get back in sync, if not potential SMT there. But I like the fact that we have those equal highs. Just a matter of committing to the idea now. Tend to shy away. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's tough just because, like, as we say, you don't want to rely too much on the 1 minute. That's why I don't put much emphasis in it, especially if the underlying narrative is bullish. In my mind, anyways. Could be wrong, of course, but that's why I'm a little bit more okay. Especially because we formed the equal highs at the SMT, so it's, in my mind, kind of like signaling, like, hey, this is fake SMT, right? We're creating liquidity here, even though ES is higher. As you said, you could probably partial, like, if you want to, at 5 handles, which is always a smart thing to do as you're progressing. And then that allows you to not have to get like a swing point, just in case. This would be a logical area of rejection for price to want to trade lower if we got up into that. Yeah, exactly, right? Trusting that the underlying narrative is what wants to prevail. On the long term, like as we've just continued to say, I would like to see price run higher. Higher time frames are still respecting the actual discounts. We had the higher time frame 15 minute and the 5 minute are overlapped, which is why I want to see that. At the time being, however, right, we do now have that opposing 5 minute. So this is where that SMT may come into place, and we'd want to see price really try to get up into that. Opening range gap high as well. So that's why we're kind of anchoring that. The first presented is being anchored onto the opening range gaps high. So it's always nice to have like the underlying, right, time-based PD rates that we speak of. Opening range gaps, first presented fair value gaps, things like that. So not too big of a fan of that, but if we can get above this, this will end up turning into like an order block. No upwards wick. So if we can accelerate, that'd be nice, especially if we can retest the fair value gap. We do have a bullish volume imbalance. We would want to see that stay open. At this case, if we were to like retest our entry, start closing below, stop may be in trouble, but so far not too worried about it. May just run into some consolidation. CPI, rather choppy. But the original pump up is what we expect. But most of the time, CPI will kind of continue that momentum and run. Whereas here, we've actually just been within that range the entire day. So I'm more interested in seeing if price wants to retest pretty much that CPI high. Five minute will close in 2 minutes. We'll see how that closes. As we said, 5 minute bearish fair value gap here as well. So if we're going to start attacking lows off the premium, acceleration lower, we get stuck there instead of the actual fair value gap up here. Yeah, right, not even reaching into it. So that's heaviness. Retesting once again, first presented. As we said, previous day high, I'm still allowing. So even though we're moving lower, I can understand previous day highs if it wants to. If we did close below, that's where we'll probably start coming for lows here. And then trying to continue with that bearish movement maybe. Right, and we would look for a run more likely into 830 and just a continued consolidation, reaching 4 lows. Okay, so there it is. So we do end up closing below. I'm interested in seeing now, can we actually maintain that fair value gap? Because if we do, especially if it's paired with a previous day high. If not, we'll bounce back up here. Once again, turtle soup entries, a little lower probability, right? You don't have the confirmation. Whereas when you would expect confirmation, price trade into it, move away, those are a little bit higher probability. We like the turtle soup. Midpoint here now of the opening range. So still not really convinced, right? Especially if we were to hold that. We might give that another opportunity. I'd be fine with that. Retesting midpoint of the opening range if we can once again get back above previous day high and the first presented. Once again, anchoring kind of lower time frame PD arrays to the established high time frame. So we'll see if this fair value gap here wants to hold, with its low being the high of the first presented. Yeah, right. If we can invert that, that'd be a pretty good signal there. But at this point, we're going to see if we want to hold that premium. 5-minute did end up closing all the way back on, right? So a quick snap, but the 5-minute rejected immediately. That's what we see here. We close right on the high of it. New 5-minute is open. We'll see if it wants to make an attempt once again. If we keep attempting to get below, that to me is still more bearish. See, current dealing range, we had this low. Yeah, we go low to high. Okay. So as we said, if we can invert this, we'll use the actual first presented again. Same idea, and we'll just use a new swing low. Oh, we got a YM'er. Sick. That's so gross, bro. Nah, I'd just be a YM hater, to be honest. I don't ever really look at that. I only have NQ up on these charts. NQ and the dollar. Yeah, hell as well. Previous day high. Okay. Cool. So if we're going to hold these premiums, watch the low. I want to see if we actually can close below again. We tried to close below the opening range gap once, but the very next candle negates that. So as we often say, we kind of would need to see back to back to really validate that. So if we do end up closing below again, closing below the swing low, first presented may form more of a bearish resistance then to get us into just some lower prices. The new day opening gap. And maybe the original liquidity here. Opening range gap below as well. Yeah, too gross. That's what I'm saying. YM moves funny. So there's midpoint again. It's basically waiting for the reaction there. See what we get with the candle closure. Holds that midpoint, closes below first presented, however. About to be 150. Oh, Jesus. So we'll see if we want to actually confirm. Can we close back-to-back candles underneath this first presented? We'll see if we respect this here now. Reject. As we said, still holding the actual midpoint of our opening range. We did run this low barely. So a quick little stop run. Okay, so we did end up closing again. However, still holding, but I would expect if we can close below the opening range gap's midpoint, that first presented may be a good opportunity, right? It may be an area in price that would want to hold. So you'd expect something like, do we have any two minute, was that immediate rebalance? We did hold the wick, okay, holding the high of that as well. Nice opportunities, but a losing day. That's all right, man. CPI, not always the easiest, right? A lot of patience for us. We're up on the day as well. I had the nice longs. That was the only entry. If we find another one here, we'll end up break even if we take a loss, which is kind of why I'm fine attempting here. If we come out break even on a CPI, fine with me. Just another day. Closure below there. So something like that to me, right, is more of an indication that we want to actually continue to run lower. And that the first presented will be used more for resistance. Except we might just go right for it. Fall short of that, interesting. So if we do tap that first presented, I think that would be able to hold us into this volume imbalance. Keep risking, yep, exactly. Right, if you're gonna be in here risking it less than usual. Quick to profit, quick to take your partials, mitigate risk, base hits. No need for the windfall, right? Hue, don't need to be seen external and highs and lows be targeted every time. So closure below, but notice, right, as we said, kind of like to see back-to-back candles to confirm. We get the closure here below the midpoint. That candle respects it and closes below again. That may be what wants to hold us, but as we said, first presented now at this point, I would want to see act more as resistance. If we're going to create this swing low just above the volume balance, we may just run straight for it and hold the midpoint of the opening range gap. 5 minute now inverted, the bullish. That's what we were talking about. First 5 minute wicks it, second one actually can close below, which is why I would expect, or at least anticipate, that the first presented should act more as a bearish premium. NQ kind of in the same spot. It already hit its opening range gap low, holding its new day opening gap. So it displaced actually from its first presented, held that bearish fair value gap, and now we're at the opening range gap low. Body's holding. We could stay heavy though, continue. Base hits sound great for reducing risk. Yeah, definitely. Keep it simple. As I've always said, I'm very quick to mitigate, cut risk once we're in the positions. Slow to move and execute, quick to secure. If you're just gonna go in, sometimes, right, you could do close proximity entries, but like shorting down here, I'd almost try to wait until at least a retracement into this up close candle. And I'd have to have my stop like above previous day high to feel comfortable, to be honest. But if we're gonna get expansion into a low or even like midnight, that still would be fine. Because yeah, here in NQ, I would expect probably that would just be the safest spot. If we're going purely based on structure, like this high here should be okay because we have created the wick lower. We then give the retracement, so as we break through the wick, we would see this as more of a balanced area in price delivery, which means that high should be protected if we're going to keep running for this low. Here in ES, a little bit different. We're not as far away from our first presented or previous day high. So if I did want to try to short, I could actually still use the highly like opening range where this 1 minute fair value gap and the 5 minute actually were at. Right, with the expectation that the 5 minute, this wants to be like an institutional order flow entry. So that high should hold before the low of the first or of the opening range gap down here. Yeah, a little uncharacteristic of a CPI. Maybe more power hour. We'll just have to wait for that last hour of the day and get something nice. Three o'clock, 3 to 4, so the last hour of the day. You're getting real choppy in here, actually. Opening range gap midpoint again. Let's see what we do there. Okay, pretty hard rejection. Couldn't get into the actual first presented. As you said, midpoint maybe all it needs to reach up into. NQ has now left its opening range gap. Which makes me think it's probably going to fall quickly here. There's volume imbalance. Let's see if we wick or close. Wick. We'll look for kind of a retracement. Because if we're going to be in a consolidation profile, extremes of the ranges will probably hold. Wacko Tron Prime? What does that even mean? Tron Legacy, like the movie? With that new day, yeah, that new day opening gaps here. That's kind of what I would look for. Underneath volume imbalance. And then if we're going to leave the first presented or the opening range gap as well, just like NQ did, we could see price fall outside of it, come back for some lows. Oh yeah, PA is gross. Past month, man, past few weeks, really. And that's how you know price action is just bad. Very low volatility. Right, look at the volatility in, what's the VIX? Is that what it's called? What's the volatility index? I forget. I have to find it. But when we just have low volatility, like price is just gonna be range bound. There'll still be setups. Just high resistance. And today is especially like a great example of that. As we said, usually CPI will be trending. It'll be a trending day. So the fact that we've really been stuck in its range the entire morning. So there's the volume imbalance. Let's see if we want to accelerate now. Body's getting lower and lower to me is an indication that we will want to make an attempt outside of this. But as the bodies keep progressing lower, getting underneath the wicks. Closure below as well now, so I would expect to see this volume imbalance act as some form of resistance if we're going to trade up into it. If you want to kind of keep with this efficient delivery. 15-minute is a wick. We'll see if we actually can get inside, right? This is a first monthly fair value gap. That's why we've been respecting it so greatly. If we can get below that, we may actually start dropping here out of this range. Perfect delivery into the low of the opening range. We'll see what we get from there. Closure below. Yep. So still closing below, right? We're closing below discounts, key levels in these discounts, which means we would expect that continued bearish delivery. We are holding perfectly opening range gap low. I'd want to see if this bearish fair value gap that we just created wants to offer us any type of short-term resistance, or if we want to kind of invert that completely. Potential inversion, but so far holding the volume balance. We said 15-minute. I want to see if it wicks. The 15-minute did close inside. Okay, so that's a little different from the first interactions that we've had. Closing below its midpoint as well. Yeah, let's see if we fall from here now that we held that like that. If we're going to hold premiums, we should kind of fall outside of the first presented and attack a low. Okay, just like that, yeah. Did we get that low? We did not get the low. We probably could. Let's see, NQ did get its low. I would still look for that sell-off though. Maybe low, we'll finally get low of the CPI session, which would be, actually we already got that. We'll get this wick though, whatever that wick was. Bearish volume imbalance. So yeah, we've left this now. I don't mind actually trying. Let's see if we can leave that open. We may just be heavy though. That's fine. No need to chase, right? We still have a lot of time left in the afternoon. Exactly. As we say, stairs up, elevator down. If we're going to consolidate though, like we'll get some type of inversion opportunity, which is why I'm not too worried, to be honest. Like I don't think we're going to fall out of bed and start running out these lows. Maybe. To me, this is more just that continued choppiness. Right? This like creates excitement. So what I would actually look for, especially if we leave a fair value gap here. We've just hit our midnight level. That's what we were speaking about. So midnight level has been hit again. If we invert back inside, we'll try to long back up into first presented. Understanding that this also is where, once again, if we're just going to maintain bearish, we'll hold that. If we can fall below midnight, that actually might be a little bit more key for me as far as looking for these lower prices now. Because midnight will be like that power of 3 for the day. And we've cleared pretty much all the liquidity that we've created heading into the afternoon. So yeah, this would be a pretty key area. We do have a lot of lows. Let's see how that midnight treats us. Oh yeah, we moving. All right, why is that heavy? If we close below, I don't mind trying. Let's see, do it at 2 or 5 for a continuation. Oh, we're gonna go straight into it. Yeah, at this point, I don't really want to be chasing that lower, to be honest. If we end up falling crazy 100 handles, that'll just be a huge move that, oh well, we won't be involved in. But to me, I feel like this is more so, right, we've cleared low of day. So new low of day, that'll be pretty important. Let's see, inside of a first presented. If we fall right through low of day, I want to see a higher time frame close and confirm that first. So ideally, especially because yeah, we do have a 4. Okay. Let's see what a higher time frame wants to do here. New low of day. Now we see if we start inverting. He said that's a broken elevator right there. Cable snapped, shit fell straight to the bottom floor, crashed. Anyone on board dead. But now, right now we go back up with speed maybe? Let's see. If we invert this, I wouldn't mind trying that, a quick inversion. Because now we wouldn't even have to get up into really much. We could just go here. But if price wants to stay crazy heavy, this might just hold us, give us another huge drop. Let's see. Below midnight now, so that power of 3. If we're going to want to close, what's the daily stick? We're still bearish there. Yeah, watch that. That might be it. I like this fair value gap. We did not close above it. We did close on the high. Now I'm going to expect, if we're going to close above consequent encroachment, that probably will be a level that can hold us. Midnight, a little sketchy. This one, yeah, a little bit higher risk, but I don't mind that. A quick inversion, right? We've cleared, as we say, that's low of day. That's going to be a pretty key area in price. Low of day swept. Huge down movement. We may miss it because, as you said, that may be all it wanted to do midpoint, but we're going to try just the inversion. And we'll go here with the stop. So under previous day's high, pretty much, or daily low, excuse me. And I think we can come back into that opening range. I want to see pretty much just consolidation, right? So if I'm going to look at like equilibrium of this and think that we can get at least a return into equilibrium, that'll bring us pretty much into, yeah, the opening range. So that's good projection. I don't mind trying that. A little risk here. Just one contract, right? Because we're moving quick. If we fall right through this, as we said, we'll be offsides and it'll just be a full pull back up into 830 pretty much, which is here. Let's clear up this because we're using pretty much that low. So this would be an inversion play, right? No market structure. More of an expectation entry. This is what I call like the high risk entries, right? Because you don't really have confirmation that price has made any significant change in the state of delivery. You're anticipating that this run on stops was the completion of this down leg. And now price wants to revert into equilibrium or back up into just higher premiums. That's what we'd want to see. You said this is equilibrium right now of this current high to low. I would favor at least 830. That'd be kind of a nice area to try to get through. Few premiums here that we're going to have to contend with. So as we start pushing up into these, I would expect hesitation for sure. Would want to see price try to get through them. If we end up closing above this one, this is actually the volume imbalance as well. So a little bit more key. But if we can like close above here, we'll try to trim some risk. Put our stop right on the daily low. This is where we'll kind of find out if we're wrong or not. Right, coming back up into that premium in a heavy market. It's not going to try to attack higher premiums. So we'll see if we reject here. I like these when one fails to clear. Yeah, definitely. Like if we had SMT at the lows, right, that'd be even more confluence. No SMT here. That's fine though, we don't always need it. NQ did clear its daily low as well. So we'll kind of just expect that they want to move in tandem now. Just trying to debate if I actually want to quote. What would be, because that's already 8. I feel like we would reject from there. 1-to-1 is kind of small though. We'll just mitigate some risk. As I said, if we can get above fair value gap 1 here, premium 1, we'll go ahead and cut risk, and then we'll try to allow the 830. Well, where's our opening range low again? What is that? That's kind of low hanging fruit. We might just go there, to be honest, and be content with that. Yep. Why not go break even, you're saying? Like, when? If we were to get through this high? Or, I mean, through that fair value gap? Oh, this low? For me, right, we can, if we're going to consolidate in here, it may make another pass at that low, which is why I'm not trying to go break even too quick. Because in choppier markets, it's going to make multiple attempts. So if that's kind of my expectation, I don't want to be too quick. If I take the stop, that's fine. Right? It's kind of built into the risk management, as we said, because we've already had the winner. So 2 stop outs will just be break even. So I'm allowing for more of a break even afternoon, break even day. And I'd rather have the opportunity to try to get up there and run through that. Yeah, like I would have been stopped there, and maybe it runs down here and I'm glad. But now if it does run higher, right, we wouldn't have been able to be involved. So that's kind of something that I've talked about in the past, where once I commit to the idea and it's built in, right, I have the risk parameters, I'm allowing for it to be a loser and I have the expectation, I'm not going to be really trying to manually mess with that. So we'll either hold from here and we can get up into that opening range gap, or we want to remain bearish and we'll make another pass at the daily low. Like I'm saying, right now that low is there, if we did close above this fair value gap that we want to see, that's where my stop would be. So it allows you to also kind of use your stop loss as market structure is being created. So like seeing that already, to me, we're probably going to hold that and just break lower. Aggressive closure below, right? We had wicks. Closing below the midpoint often means we're going to want to use that as the area of resistance since we've held from this premium. So we would have to really see this candle, negate this previous candle's action, and close back above. If it holds this as well, then we would expect for price to start wandering lower. He said big bowls. Nah. As I said, we just learned over time, right? I've been burnt too many times being too quick. So instead of that, I just have to learn to accept losses. But that's really where that comes from. It's like you're trying to put your stop to break even quickly because you don't want to lose. Losing's part of it. Okay, so as we said, the fact that we now close below, I definitely would expect previous day's low, or I keep saying previous day, original daily low to be tested. Our stop is going to be under that. But since we've already ventured this low, we would expect more than likely here. We'll see if rejection block, that would really be the last line, right? Like we would need to hold that rejection block as we traded into the daily low for the first time. Oops, this has now become reclaimed. So we create the inversion, but as we wick and trade underneath that, that is more of a reclaimed bearish fair value gap. So that's going to want to hold price. Right, which is why more than likely here we're going to look for that stop out because it's going to want to keep this as an area of rejection pretty much. Retest the original daily low, and if we can't reject from there as kind of our last line of defense, we would look for a new daily low. Sometimes you'd rather get, yeah, that's how you trade, right? It's all personal preference. Like for me, I don't like jamming a lot of entries back and forth. I'm much more like a set, forget, enter, and then mitigate risk if you can. Some people like to, right, just keep the break even. They don't want to have much drawdown. That's also fine. It's all about your personality. That's the big thing with the trading, right? You have to be able to trade that matches your style. So we wick into that original low. That kind of, you said, have to be last line of defense. If not, we'll keep running lower. Cool. So we fall through. So now I'm going to look for new daily low. We do have first presented here. For me, we may hold that, but if we're going to want to venture into that, I'm more so thinking it's going to come for the low, and we're going to want to remain heavy. At this point now, break even on the day. So still, right, within our protocol, we're going to look for me now, I really want to see higher time frame close. Okay, so it did, right? That's the 15. I was going to say, I'm trying to see if higher time frames close, because if they do, we may be able to actually, right, the higher time frame will switch here. And then since we've hit, this is a weekly, that's going to be a very high impact premium. So if we get this huge displacement, I like shorts. At first I would put the order in and leave. Honestly, that's not a bad way to do it. The set and forgets. Because that really prevents you, right, from messing with yourself. And that's what I used to do as well. It's a good idea. You let it play out and then you come back at the end and see, right, what actually happened. All right, so if we do close below, as I said, I think we're actually going to start getting bearish. Because now we're holding midnight, 5 minute, 2 minute. And now we'll look for this first presented here because we respect it. We fall through it, as we often say as well. If we're going to create a wick and then break through the wick, that's going to act as a gap. Previous day low as well. Yeah, so if we're going to power 3, I don't mind. One more. See if we leave that low. 2 minute could stay open. NQ also just right, falling out. So yeah, more heavy here. Yeah, 3 drives higher for sure, right? So we would look for the first, which was already cleared. Oh, it's going to be heavy. I like this though, so we're going to try here. That'd be a rather large style. That's the only thing that's... I'm going to go first presented, where we've wicked. And then if we're really going to want to be this heavy, right, we may come for that daily low. So I don't mind trying to actually capture a rather large range. Yeah, previous day low. Because price in here is pretty strong, right? Pretty aggressive. So we're going to try that. And this let for... We'll go for 2. So we go partial. 0.25%. Keep the risk, right? Normally it's 0.5%. We're doing 1/4. Just lower risk. But we'd want to pretty much see, just hold from the first presented that we have here. This is our first presented of this week. So Monday's first presented, that's what this blue shaded is. So that'd be a good area for price to bounce. We're going to see if we can't hold this bearish. And pretty much we're just going to want to capture the trend now at this point. Right, stop loss for us will be above actually the midnight. We're going to go midnight level. So the candle that's right at that midnight. Trying to capture pretty much the movement into previous day low. And we'll clear up all this. So let's imagine that we're going to lose this trade. Okay, we get stopped out. What will we think next? Well, more than likely, that'll put us at under 0.25% on the day. We would still have a chance to even put in, right? For me, I do 2% max is what I would stop at. But I'm not trying to, we already have a few too many entries, right? If we're getting like 5, 6 entries, that's a little much. I'm more of like a maybe 3 to 4 type of guy. Ideally, it's 1 or 2. Because we are trending, I am fine trying to short here. And just try to capture that run into previous day low. Have that expectation that that's what we're trying to reach for on the higher time frame. We do have this fair value gap, so the if we can come into the 4 hour, that'll be like an area that I'm partial at, just because it's a higher time frame area that we've continued to find support at. But we'll worry about that when we get there. Adjust it for one now. Really watching right as we say this fair value gap. If we displace that, we may have to end up coming back up higher. And this little bearish momentum will be fizzled out for the time being until we run out of high, pick up some liquidity. 5 minute as well. So this 1 minute and 5 minute. Here, like I'll annotate that so you could see 5 minute here. So kind of just observing here. A few minutes until the 5 minute closes. This is where the 5 minute is in relation to the 1 minute. Pretty small. Still respecting that first percentage. I'm kind of more reliant on the 5, but I like that that first percentage is there. Just added confluence. 4 hour. So that daily low is tied pretty well with the 4 hour consequent encroachment if we want to keep remaining heavy. Hey, gee. So in my mind, one too many attempts inside of this 5 here. Especially because we've already hit midpoint. If we were going to remain extremely heavy, we would have wanted to see that volume imbalance here hold price as we left the 5 minute and the 1 minute. It still has a chance, but the fact that we overtake that, to me, not really a good sign. And we've closed above the 5 minute at the same time. simply watching to see closure above. As we said, 5 minute would have to be really last line of defense. The 5 minute candlestick's about to close now. So this is kind of an instance where, say the 5 minute candlestick were to close above and we were able to get a retracement into entry, that's where I'm cutting risk. So I would close just one, right? Because we've invalidated the original bearish framework that we were trying to operate within and have actually flipped that into more of a bullish PD, right? So we'll be able to just cut risk, right? And then if price runs the way we expect, we'll take it, but it also just mitigates the stop outs. As I said, quick to mitigate risk if we can. So 5 minute now, closed above. So yeah, right, if we would actually give us some type of retest of the low of this 5 minute now, because that will act as some form of support in my opinion, that's when we could take one. If it doesn't want to just use the high. If we're going to kind of just respect this 1 minute as an inversion now that we've closed above, it may just hold that high and accelerate right straight up into that area. But we'll see if it wants to give us a little BE. One minute, notice the 1 minute discount now created as well. So kind of replacing the premiums with discounts. That's what we're speaking of when we say that's just kind of the delivery you wouldn't want to see for lower prices. Honestly, I almost want to flip this. We might try that. Just flip it completely. We don't do that too often, but when the time aligns, I think we can. Right, if we are offsides, we've cleared the low. We didn't get yesterday's low, but that was a huge range overnight. I don't mind that actually. Here's that original liquidity. So we'll see, as we said, if we're going to come back into this, that's why we want to take one off. If we can come back into first presented right here, we'll just cut risk. And then we can actually use this swing point as our stop. And I'm fine with that. We hit the weekly open. Nice, nice, nice. So we just buy one there, as we said. Right at break even. And now if we can break below that, right, we'll have pretty much, we've been able to cut risk now, mitigate risk. Because this is where we would expect price to bounce, as we said. I was thinking about flipping that, to be honest, but we'll just let it rock. Closure underneath first presented, we're going to go ahead and move stop to that swing point right here. And then, as we said, we will allow for the 4 hour if we can fall through. A lot of discounts though. Really struggling to break that. Let's see if we can't stay heavy. 2 minute held, 1 minute once again, trying to hold that. We had the bullish fair value gap, which is why I'm also saying, like, if we can get below this first presented, we'll have inverted this. But for the time being, we're just holding that bullish. So we're smacking into our entry for the shorts. Almost thinking of flipping it long. With the idea that we don't actually want to clear that low. Dollar accelerating though. Yeah, we'll just commit to it. Stay with the trend here. First presented, once again holding. So we'd want to see pretty much it fall through like this again, right? We don't want to be respecting that, because then more than likely that's going to prime price to want to accelerate quickly into a high. and then midnight potentially here. Remember, this is the 5 minute, so I'm also looking at this. Because if we're going to invert it and we actually want to remain bearish, we want to see the price close under its midpoint. Which did we get? We did close under its midpoint. Okay, so now we need to see price basically close below that. Thank you, sir. Got the damn allergies, man. I feel like I've gotten older. I got allergies for some reason. Mad lame. Yeah, it's not a fan of that. So maybe we'll just have to wait till 3, and we'll try to capture a run then. Ooh, that's very bad. Huge rejection wick, trying to get into the low right as the 5 minute candlestick opens. So I don't want to be forming like a lower wick on the 5 minute with the rejection. See if we can get a closure. We've been conditioned to V bottoms. Oh, view bottoms. As we said, closure below for me, I'm fine putting stop here. So we'll be able to even mitigate more risk out of this. Because now if we come all the way back up above all this again and retest, that's just ugly delivery, right? So yeah, let's see what we get here. Let's head up some of these indicators now. Held the 5 minute. You don't trust this one. Maybe not, yeah. Or if shorts are long, you don't trust. You think it'll rip higher, I think here's what you're saying. So now that we've closed above or below, if we get back-to-back closures, that means bearish fair value gap now as well. Oh, okay. So right back up, right? Just sloppy. Yeah, more than likely come back for the high, which I'm fine being out at that point, and we'll just wait until power hour. I prefer power hour. Yeah. Cool. All right, so that's why we do that. Just mitigating that. Because for me, even if we break lower, like I'm not just trying to be in this back and forth. So we just let price play around. If it wants to run higher, if it wants to run lower, that's fine. We wait for 3 now. And that's also another way just to stop yourself from over trading. Cool. Yeah, so for us, we'll just have these key levels. I want to just have previous or daily low. So previous day low or the previous daily low is going to be pretty key. So let's have that up for now. Because now it seems like, right, if we're just going to accumulate in here, we can look for that retracement back up. But yeah, I like to wait. We'll let the next half hour kind of play. Just playing with little micro facts. Right? In this type of conditions, that's what you could do to get familiar. Yeah, I love me a good power hour. Much more of a power hour. We'll break even on the day for our actual account. Oops. Oh, no, we're up actually because that NQ short. We took a short on NQ, which was nice. In between, you lose a lot more. Hey, that's smart. Yeah, having time, the time-based entries and whatnot. I'm the same way. I have a pretty hard kind of rule. I'm at like 9:30 to 11:15 usually. And then for power hour, CPI power hour tends to be very nice, which is what we'll wait for here. See if we give a retracement back up into, where can we come into? We can come into fair value gap. I like that. We may just keep referencing though that old daily low level, right? So we talk about how once we kind of clear that liquidity and consolidations, that's what will be referenced quite a bit, more than once. So if we want to consolidate just heading into power hour, we would expect that type of delivery. And then maybe that large run here could be overtaken on the way up. Yeah, if they keep the stops on target, it'd be nice. If we can just consolidate for the next half hour or so. Because really on this whole leg down, I guess besides this little run higher, as you said, should be like a low liquidity if we're going to attack all these highs. You got 58 up here. I like these. Yeah, right. The original, basically long targets. Hide it all just to see what we're up to here. So actually, right. So if we look at this, this may be actually what can hold us bearish. So let's see. Because more on a higher time frame, like if I'm looking at a higher time frame, if this hourly was to close below that low, that would be bearish. So that's kind of why I want to wait for power hour. Just give us more information with the candles. If we get a higher time frame closure below the swing points, that's just more indicative of continued lower prices. Whereas like if we end up wicking all of this, especially if we got back above like a bearish fair value gap here, that's when we could expect the run higher. Potential OB here. It's pin 5. No, I was gone. That's funny. Went to the gym, went and ate. I just started streaming again for the afternoon. Usually I was gonna wait till 3, but they wanted to see the 1:30 open. Friday and Mondays are the only days we do long streams. Little fair value gap there. Yeah, so what's that? Short-term low being cleared. And that original liquidity is there as well. Those are kind of like those high probability order blocks that we speak of. Right, it has no wick to the upside. It runs out short-term lows into a discount, and it gets broken with the fair value gap through a key area and price. Ooh. Would I use 30-second structure here? I don't have the second charts anymore, but yeah, I wouldn't mind that. In like these mighty consolidations, those lower time frame entries are pretty good. So yeah, I have nothing against those. 30-second, even 15 if you can get real precise with them. But yeah, that'd be good. That OB is very tempting. It's just a little early. If we were closer to 3, I would try to take that. Maybe we still do. Just commit to it. You said the 15 though, and the 1 hour is what's giving me a little bit. I like that wick though. If we can expect that wick to hold 4 hours as well. Daily low, daily low. What's that inversion as well? I can see something like that. I mean, here would be best case scenario, right? All the way back up. Even just into the weekly. $238. All right, let's see if we can consolidate. If we can head into 2 or 3 o'clock, well, we still kind of right or within this consolidation. I like that for entry there. 14:17. What time is that? That's military time. That's 1, right? No, that's 2. 2:17. This one? Long-term low? I mean, no. Not unless we'd have to have another hourly candlestick or another swing low be formed over here. If we kept this low in place, inverted the 15-minute, tried to make another attempt, and created another swing low, then I would consider that as a long-term low. I am Confucian. Confucius. Yeah, we're just getting a little choppy. As we say, when you can kind of frame up both sides, a little less probable. If I'm gonna look at this though, as far I'm just kind of seeing longs, to be honest, right? Like we create that original short-term low at the first presented, we accelerate through that. If we wanted to really remain heavy, to me, this should have held us and accelerate us lower. We make an attempt, hit its midpoint, we close back below with the volume imbalance, get above it. We make a second attempt to actually get below it, immediately reject. In my mind, this looks like an OB here that would hold us bullish, paired with the original first presented, which is why I'm kind of eyeing that up as a long. How do you make on average day? Oh, how much if you're saying? I usually do 0.25%, right? Which will get us, if we have a good winning day, around 1,000. But this I kind of really go by percentage, like percentage of account rather than monetary dollars. Because that's kind of what messed me up in the past, being honest. Using the money, the P&L like that. So a lot of my calculations are just RR based, percentage based. So you don't get too caught up in like the monetary value. And then as we say, right, you want to increase the capital that you have, and that's how you increase like the monetary value. At least in my opinion, that's kind of my philosophy on it. Is that I'd rather keep all the percentage and risk the same, right? Keep everything the same in the trading and just get more capital rather than trying to push for like larger trades. Yeah, we also have the midnight, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at too. That's here. So not only is that 15-minute kind of holding us, rather large 15-minute, but then the midnight open. This 15 minutes about to close, so that should be interesting. In the next 2 minutes, we'll see if the 15-minute can get above. If it can close above the midnight, I think we should be able to get that retracement into at least the fair value gap right here, which is pretty much the opening range gap's low. I still would favor like this as the entry. So maybe 3 o'clock power hour can give a retracement into that. I do like that a lot, to be honest. What's this 15 doing? Yeah, I just see longs more than shorts at the moment. Especially with how we write purge and revert. That's kind of the textbook purging of the liquidity. We create the wick and then we revert right back into the range immediately. 1 hour large wick. 5 minute actually inverts that and holds the inversion. Huge wick, wick, wick. So the higher time frames are actually starting to align with the lower time frames. But I still think like now that's trendline liquidity, right? So if we could actually return into previous day's low, not like yesterday's low, but like the previous daily low of today, which is this level here, that's what that fair value gap is. We can pick up some liquidity on the way. Engineer people trying to maybe short that on the way down. 245. 245, let's see. I'm starting to actually respect the discounts on the way up. Might also notice fair value gap we trade into, we hold. New fair value gap. Interested to see if we want to hold that as well. Yeah, this is looking a little too clean for me. So we do have, I'll put this on here as well. I'm gonna try this. I like that. No, I want. Oh, it's trying to. See if we can't get one more wick lower. I'd like to see basically, right, manipulation of these lows. So pick up all this liquidity real quick, return into the OB, which is the original inversion. 5 minute as well. 15 minute ended up closing above the midnight pretty aggressively. So we may not even get that deep of a retracement, to be honest. And we might get that, right, the stair stepper delivery to where now any really discount formed is going to hold. Discount holds all the way back up. But let's get a quick swipe. Something like this I'd like to see. Quick manipulation. Hold at the actual short-term low. Ba-da-ba. So as I said, if we're going to just respect each discount, watch here, this fair value gap. We're about to head into 3 o'clock though, so I wouldn't mind trying to actually head lower into 3 o'clock. Tap us in and then run. But as we said, most recent discounts actually here. After holding this one. Thing, it really is crazy how sideways price has been. I'm just looking at the higher time frames. I'm like, damn. If we just hide everything, let's go to like a 15. That really is just such terrible price delivery. Doesn't matter how far you go. Like, oh my. Goodness. Even like the actual price runs are still just resulting in consolidation, reversion back to the mean. Wild. Love that. Like trying to learn to trade at this time would be difficult, very difficult. Okay, cool. Right on that midnight. Isn't that beautiful? That's always nice to see. Random levels in price being respected, which means that may actually just dump. What time is it? It's about to be 3 o'clock. So as we said, we want to see lower price delivery into 3 o'clock. So I'm not too worried about this. Like, if we're obviously going to get into these entries, these discounts are expected to fail. And this is kind of where, like, if you get real precise, you could almost capture like counter trend trades down into your entry and then catch the entry back up. That is very advanced though. And that's more so for very trending markets. Hopefully we can get another low. I don't want this to be all. I want us to get below that. As we said, I want this to be the fair value gap paired with the OB that we're looking to enter on right there. Everything that you see on this will be demo. I only trade on demo here for the YouTube. I have a funded account though. But yeah, just easier, more transparent if you just say right away, yeah, it's all with demo. I'm more so, I'm about the education, the skill set, right, the teaching of it. Like for my actual funded, right, I just took a short on ES. That's all we did. The short inside the fair value gap. Easy target of that low. And then a spindle. Oh my, look at that. No way. Don't really like that. Let's see. See if we can get it now. So all these fail. These are what we would need to now see become support on the way back. So we want to reclaim those. If we can get this entry, we'd want to see those now be retested and for price to respect those areas. Because you're noticing as we break through each of them, we're creating a premium, right? So we had a bullish fair value gap, we close below it, we create a bearish fair value gap. We have a bullish fair value gap, we're about to close below it, leaving the bearish fair value gap. So now once we get tapped in, we would need to see these premiums be traded up and through. If we were to fall straight through this, head straight into this low, then I would probably expect the lows again. But our expectation is we don't want to clear previous day low, and instead we want to retrace on a higher time frame into basically back into the range. Right, so we're waiting for this 1 hour candlestick to close, especially if it can close above first presented. So that's the expectation. We just want to see not continuation, pretty much consolidation. So now that we're in here, we can actually go ahead, like we would probably partial at this opposing or the midnight. Let's go like this. As we said, now all of these premiums that were left behind, we need to get above those. So we need to see price trade through that, use it as support, trade through this, use that as support, all the way up. Not a good sign there. We'd want to see price push through these and displace above in that respect. Okay, as we said though, right, once you're in, you just commit to it. Just let it rock. No need to be messing with it. If we put in some new structure, then maybe we'll start moving stop, but for the time being, not much to do. Could be. Power hour opening now. We got the first minute. Let's see what we get for the first minute of power hour. Usually in consolidation like this, during CPI, we should get some movement. So if we want to start running lower, higher time frame down here, we'll see what kind of price action we put in. So we've closed inside of what I'm looking at within this is the midpoint. So that's already deeper than I'd want to see, but right midpoint has to be allowed for a deeper retracement. The fact that we're wanting to test that, a little worrisome. So I would need to see this candle pretty much try to get above the actual fair value gap now, because this has become in the short term an inversion, because we've found support, we trade up into a premium, and then we break back through the original area of support, creating the inversion, right? That's bearish. So to kind of combat that, you would need to see now the candle actually try to reclaim this area, especially because there's going to be no fair value gap. So if this becomes a rejection, immediate rebalance, followed by quick rejection, that is going to be very bearish, and you would just look for lows again. So just kind of following the price delivery. So something like that, right? You wouldn't want to see that, as we said, no fair value gap, instead immediately rebalance while holding the premium. So even though we held the discount, this would need to be the low. We've opened with the bearish volume imbalance, right? So once again, adding to the idea that it wants to actually trade lower, you would need to see the bearish volume imbalance be negated for price to make another attempt to get above, or you would expect, right, the continued downward delivery. Premium here, 2 volume imbalances that have held on this upwards wick. So now on the way up, if we can get above the original bearish fair value gap, you still have to deal with the volume imbalances. Because we have put this low at mean threshold of the OB, if we can reclaim the order block's high, which is also, as we say, the fair value gap, I'm fine actually moving the stop, right? So that's how we say we can then mitigate risk at that point. Because now for me, like if we run this stop, more than likely it's going to want to actually venture back for these lows. And we have the inefficiency in here, right? The original, this one, where we've held. So we can go like that, because now we have that. And as we said, this is like the original as well. So we have our clear areas of invalidation that we're fine getting taken out at. And we'll see what power hour wants to do. We still have the first presented here, so remember, right, that's why we're also looking at that. So this was just anticipation heading into 3. So the original entries on the OB is we're just trading into it for the first time because we have the sell side below. So if we wanted to remain bullish as we clear sell side, create the downward leg, that's where we get long. But as we said, if we're going to maintain the bearishness, the premiums on the way down is what we had to worry about. So once we get in, we see that bullish momentum holding at the premium. And the fact that we also had the first presented, so when it's anchored to that, that's where we're fine just going in right away. To where if we are off sides, it'll probably just fall through that, right? Fall through, come back down into the actual here. This is the first weekly, and at that point either just chop, or if power hour is going to be ugly, we'll just expect that continued kind of just choppiness once we get near a daily swing point, right? Because as we said, we've already cleared, this is the daily low. Let me bring it back up right there, what we've entered on. So we have our daily low here. What we'll often see is after clearing daily swing points like that, price is just going to consolidate near those areas. Oops. And that's where we've entered on. So as we come for this low again, we'll see if we want to hold that or if we want to reject. As we said, stop for me is actually underneath the inversion here. closing below the low, so we'll get stopped, right? Closure below, as we say. So once again, just coming back down, respecting the premiums. Stop out there. And now you just go back towards, right, what is most likely first presented. So if we're gonna try to make an attempt to get above it, instead fall back below it, we're gonna watch and see now. This area in price should reject, make another attempt at a low, and just continue. Yeah, that'd be confirmation if you wanted to. Right, and then you just risk missing the entry. So it's up to your personal preference. But for us clearing the short-term low, displacement above with the fair value gap, that was enough for me. Whereas if you wanted confirmation for that, right, what you really would have waited for is that. So you still would have had it as we trade into it, respect it, close above. That would be second confirmation. Right, so like if you were trying to wait, as price did move away, you could have waited again. Did you see? We're just reaching for that low. We're just trying to get back into this first presented here. Stay choppy. Yeah, perfectly valid to wait for like confirmation. That's what we call like the confirmation entries. To where you either wait for another break in structure and try to enter on the continuation of it. Or you just enter on the first test, the first tap. So you said, once again, I'm going to watch this here and see if we want to attempt to take out this low. Bearish fair value gap. Just watching how we react right within this. So if we're going to invert that. First presented to me has more priority over the actual inversion. So just seeing which one wants to hold. We did have that bullish form imbalance, but it might be closed in. Also trying to see if that remains open as we come back above this little first presented area. Yeah, at this point, right, 350 would be nice. If we don't start running, if we like stay consolidating here, have a small range for power hour. So back above the original. We'll see if we want to retest the premiums here and here. Simple wick of this high. So we didn't end up closing above, so I'm seeing that more of just a quick little run on stops. If we're going to remain in like consolidation or want to actually trade into that low. after hitting those stops, we should see price make an attempt back down into the inversion and probably below that. One hour has created its wick. So as I said, because we've been able to mitigate risk pretty good today, I might give this one more opportunity to close out the day. Making another pass at the fair value gap, still rejecting it pretty aggressively. As we said, we have these volume imbalances up here that are going to act as roadblocks and price getting higher. So this one here, and then we had this one as well. And you can see that the bodies are actually holding both of these. So we're wicking up into them. Fair value gap holding the bodies. And sometimes it just creates a failure swing. Or if we're going to want to just create, like, right, purge and revert the original daily liquidity, the lowest low here will just be held. And all of this consolidation is kind of like all it will need to do to pick up some short-term lows, right? Because in theory, we've picked up a short-term low here with this low. We've picked up a short-term low here with this low. Where if we were to stay, if we can stay within this range, I would like to see that run lower. But if we start moving higher, we would understand why there's no need to actually clear out these lows for the time being. As you said so far, I mean, look at that, geez. So right, getting pretty ugly in here, pretty choppy. Wowza, wowza. Let's see if we can get even one. When I see something like this, if we were to close above it, that would lead me to believe that we should get the same kind of respect on the opposing side. I'm not sure, it's a support price. Support it, send it a little bit higher. Untapped inefficiencies here, here, here. Oh dear. Oh no. Stop, don't start it again. No, it's funny. Let me go see any. Oh, there you go. You sent it to me. My son asked me who it. Hey, what did we say yesterday, man? He's a character. What is that? He's trying to drive the engagement. That's comedy. Who is the hottest female trader? What kind of question is that? Oh, go ahead. That's comedy. The guy you can't see, yes, much hotness. Handsome as hell, boy. That's what you should do. Just get the bait. Just bait him. That's how you market. Or what I should do is you know what would be fucked? With AI, especially nowadays, you just make like a fake AI avatar. That's just like the hottest chick that you could imagine. And then that would be like me fake live streaming through that lady. Hold up, dude. We might have to do that, bro. What do they call them? Like those the VTubers who live stream, but it's like a virtual person. That's hilarious. Crack facts. That's cracking the code. I'd feel so bad though. That shit would really work, honestly. I'm really thinking about that. I'm like, nah, people would for sure fall for that. Or like even in the thumbnail, like all I would have to do is put it on the thumbnail and I guarantee you people click that. Never seen a VTuber. Damn, see, so we could start a whole new niche. They ain't know nothing about that. The trading VTuber. That'd be so funny, bro. Put on a voice changer and everything so no one would know. Only the people that were here in the beginning would know that's not who I am at all. Just scam the folks. Alright, so yeah, we're getting gross again, right? This is ridiculous. So this is kind of where we probably wait till 330, 350. If anything, like, if we're going to be holding like this, we just need to break lower. Maybe try to clear out a daily low or something. Let's go to a 15 real quick. A turtle soup would be cool, no? If we like came all the way into the 4 hour. Any run lower is met with a pretty nice rejection. Maybe we could soup our way to something. Okay, there we go. So if we're going to break, we need a break, right? We're holding these way too much. If you want to hold the premiums, we need to move away from the premiums. Underneath first presented. See if we can't come back for some lows. New low of day potentially. I'm honestly going to hide this. We're going to turn these off for now. Just too much going on. If we enter another position, we'll turn it back on for entry. But let's get some more. Let's clear it up a little bit. All right, so we have sell side here, relative equal lows. Where are our new areas of interest? That's going to be daily low. So it'll be low of day. Unsure about that one. This one here, I would think we can get that low of day. We'll have to see how aggressively we want to tear through this sell side. But yeah, for so far, right, just consolidation for power hour. Fair enough though. Large move here, large sell off. So back to a small range. Large range leads to small ranges. Bearish volume imbalance. Want to see if we can keep that open. Just kind of following the little PD arrays being formed in here. Like we said, if we're going to hold the highest premium up here in this leg, after holding the actual fair value gap that we pointed out originally, clearing the highs, we'll see if we can't break. If that volume imbalance stays open, we'd kind of see if that wouldn't want to hold bodies into just the relative equal lows we have here. We are inside of the inversion. So as we clear that low, we have the inversion, finding some hesitation, but the fact that we close below it to me would mean that we want to get through that as well. As we said, sell side here. New low of day potentially. We turtle soup low of day. What time is it? Turtle soup low of day. Let's see, we have a low here. Volume imbalance with the original bodies. So slow, yeah. Very indicative of right choppiness. Not a lot of motion within the candlesticks. A lot of wicks. Yeah, it's just been tough. Ugly. Got to be real precise. I'm glad, right? Stay locked in. We expect that, so that's why we're not too shaken. But yeah, it's nice to kind of sit inside of this. Even though it's a shitty feeling or boring at times, as we say. Just building the market experience. Can't really shortcut that. And I also think like it's a good exercise because then when things get easy, or like when you have A+ setups, you can understand the difference because you're not really having to focus, right? Like when you have to focus a lot in here to see what price is wanting to do, that's how we know it's a little bit lower likely or just less probable. And then when we get A+ setups that really jump off the chart, right? Seeing the contrast between something like this versus like an A+ setup just helps over time as well. So yeah, this is getting crazy. So I would actually, let's soup that. We're going to try to get a little soup. If we end up running low of day, pick up that stop will be like, let's go to like a 5 minute. What's over here on the left? This low right here. My only concern is we may want to test the actual 4 hour. I kind of like that. What's the 4 hour looking like inside of this? So we have the 4 hour here. Version. Equal lows cleared. All right, let's do it. Back to the volume balance. We'll see if we can get above this time. There's a small fair value gap in here. I'm kind of disregarding the 1 minute candlestick structure at this point. Relying on like the volume imbalances. We'll see if we can actually get above that because we keep referencing that point, but price is really unable to get above it. If we do, I still don't trust that, to be honest. We're kind of at a point where, yeah, we're not really trusting price in either direction, which means you just watch. The only thing I'd feel even reasonably comfortable attempting would be like a soup on this, on the low of day. So to get to the extreme of the range, I'm not really trying to trade within the middle of this for the time being. Once again, holding. Body's holding. We'll see if we can make an attempt through it. Maybe up to the higher premium up here. Okay. So we'll see if that has any, any significant usage. As we often say, one candle's opportunity, we would need to see the next candle support this, because this candle can negate that. And if we close right back underneath, we would still expect consolidation. So we've just hit the bullish fair value gap here. We'll see if this is going to be a true kind of break, or if we're just going to keep chopping, which looks like we're just going to revert right back into that. So yeah, just choppy here. As we said, we don't really trust much within the middle of the range. So when we start getting choppy like this, the actual PD arrays being formed by the candlesticks, I'm not putting much emphasis into, and instead kind of going back to relying on the time-based PD arrays. So the first presented, right, key swing points, daily levels, so the daily low. And then for us, midnight level kind of for me as well. That is a crazy wick. What in the... Still though, right, we close right back underneath. We'll see if that wants to do something there. That was very interesting. In NQ, it's actually, I'm looking at NQ, it's just kind of holding its first presented bullishly. So we keep tapping that level. But we'll see what we do, right? That's kind of a wick that baits people to go long, and then we fall through that wick. So who knows? At this point, I'm perfectly fine doing nothing. Right? You have to know when to kind of just walk away. What's that song? Know when to fold them, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away. Still like to watch though. It's like this point, I'm basically just gonna wait for 350. If we run or something and we get a crazy move, that's fine. But for me, back to the time-based understanding, so I'd like to wait for 350. Good night. You going to bed, Pigeon? I'll see you, brother. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Wait, do we have high-impact news tomorrow? Let's see. Let's see. I haven't even looked that far ahead yet. Thursday, jobless, PPI. Okay, so we'll be back tomorrow, same time, 9:25 Eastern. But for now, we'll let this play out until the end of the power hour. First presented holding. Chop, 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 manipulate. Yeah, we might not actually get low of day. Like I could see this being the low, right? We have the stacked PD arrays, 2 first presented right here. You think Oracle earnings after hours? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so maybe choppiness. High impact news tomorrow and Friday as well, so I could see a slow end to the day. Ramp back up tomorrow morning. But I like a 350. Let's get a little 350 play. I think we're going to try to interact with that regardless, just to show. So yeah, especially if we don't come in here. If we stay below midnight and above low of day, that'll be our range that we're stuck in. We could, honestly. As we said, that weekly fair value gap is going to be a very large premium, very important level. So especially if we like hide all. Yeah, especially if we end up closing underneath some swing lows with the 4 hour. If we can close underneath this swing low here. Especially because, as we said, right, like we don't have any, from this really low to high, there's no inefficiencies on a 4 hour, which in itself is very crazy. Besides this, right, everything else has already been really balanced. There's no inefficiencies, which will often lead to very low resistance liquidity runs if price does choose to make a move. Like if that 1 hour stays open, which it probably will, Yeah, we might be setting up for a nice little sell-off here. Right, look at that huge weekly rejection from the weekly fair value gap after a very giant upwards candle. Uh-oh. Is it time to roll over? Wouldn't mind that. Some sells for a bit. Price always seems to go faster going down, huh? Shorts are always funner to be in my opinion. Right back in. Yeah, this is crazy ugly. Holy cow. Quick bull fake. Maybe, what's NQ up to? Same idea. So I'm honestly thinking whatever side gets interacted with first, that's going to be a false move. But as we said, I'm just going to forego until 350. So we'll let the next 20 minutes do whatever it wants. If anything, I like way down here, low of day. As we said, that'd be like my turtle soup. This may be all though. I could see that. But for max protection in case we did want low of day. Like you would soup this low saying, all right, the current low of day is all price wants to make. But I think we could even see a brand new low of day. 5 minute here. Yeah, it's kind of juicy. Let's see. Yeah, or higher, right? Like if we were to go higher first, while leaving these lows, then we would expect almost the opposite. Like if we spiked up into this at 350, I'd almost expect that to hold right there. It's really whatever gets interacted first, right? The consolidation profile. But I don't mind the low of day turtle soup. Because then even if we did want like a quick 5, that can get us right back into the range. I'm gonna try to soup it up low of day. So clear both these sell sides. And then revert. Because now we have relative equal highs up in here. Untapped inefficiencies as well, which I like. Even though we did get that 5 minute barely. But we still have the higher 5 minute as well. So there's that original sell side. As we said, we're stacking first presented here as well. So this may be that all price needs to do. But we have the first presented. We have a new day opening gap. We have the weekly first presented. And we just have sell side here that we've picked up. So this may be all. We'll see. I would like to clear the sell side. Make that a short-term low cleared. Low of day there. Closure below the sell side. Cool. Long. This will be a long. So I'm going to go in with the expectation that it's just going to be a turtle soup of today's low. That I don't think we're going to really break out the range. It'll be a quick fake out with a reversion back into the range pretty much. What? See, I'm glad we got the news in here. U.S. Embassy is preparing for an ordered evacuation. Bruh. Bruh. We're cooked. Stuff like that, right? That's why the markets have been so shit, in my opinion. Just so much uncertainty going on. So that creates chaotic and chaos within price. See, if it's not Trump, don't tell me. Honestly, yeah, for real. Most of it's already baked in, right? Trump's the really one that will send that thing crazy. Trump is the market maker. We'll give him that. So we said that'll be the turtle soup right there. We have very strong discounts. I want low of day, but we may not get it. If we soup here, break through highs, I think we do miss that, and we ain't gonna come back down for that at all. Yeah, different lows there for sure. Could see it go. And Q's holding its first presented again. See if we invert that. Yeah, this may be the, that may have been the soup right there. As we say, wanting to protect the low of day. And instead use first presented new day opening gap. We'd kind of have to expect this hold us and then make another run lower. If not, more than likely that inversion is what will end up holding. Whoa, didn't want to do that. What the heck? Into the high? Or up here? I would say pretty good chances, honestly. Especially if like the higher time frame closes, as we said, if we leave a fair value gap here, which I'm pretty sure we will, and if like the 4 hour closes below that 4 hour swing point, I think that would have set up a nice little run, at least into this 4 hour fair value gap again. Coming off of a weekly, right, key area in the form of a weekly fair value gap. Especially because we could not get above that, right? That's the CPI high, and we cleared the CPI high, and then we made no attempt to even come back up to there, instead holding the weekly. Like, look how clean we held that weekly fair value gap. So when I see things like that type of precision, an unwillingness to make an attempt, leaving it, coming back into it, and then leaving it again, even harder the second time, that would just lead me to believe that it wants to continue to reach for, yeah, like the 4 hour. So I would say it's pretty high likelihood that tomorrow and Friday we'll see lower prices. Let's see how we close here today though. We do invert that. We are holding the first presented as we said here, so that's fine. Still have a chance of soup and low of day here. TP at 875, nice, nice. Yeah, those nice longs right there. Right off that. As we clear the low, we get back above first presented volume imbalance. That's a volume imbalance entry. Bang, inversion. I don't want to hit that before 350. But we should get up there. Even in that short-term consolidation, we end up going from, yeah, the first presented here. closure above, so maybe we're going to start utilizing that now. Inversion. Yeah, if you're looking at the weekly profile and you want to see Wednesday be the high, it should have cleared the previous 2 days highs, which we did get. Right, I mean, if we just look at that, Monday and Tuesday have been consolidating. Consolidation Monday, Tuesday clears Monday's highs and lows, Wednesday clears Tuesday's high, only leaving now Tuesday's low pretty much, which is why I would like that. Especially if we remained heavy here, stay underneath midnight, because now we have pretty much power of 3, where we have all the action taking place to the higher side into the higher time frame premiums, closure below midnight to set into motion continued lower prices. Simply watching this inversion paired with the first presented here now. Getting close to 350. At this point, I'll leave that entry there. We'll try to almost force a 350 interaction just to see, just to show the different ways we can go about it. NQ revisiting that first presented again. Could easily bounce from there another time. We'll see if that holds. Might bearish volume imbalance, but if that gets completely negated to the higher, we can hold that. First presented from 2021 is crazy. I don't even know how the hell you would... How you going that far back? Yeah, for the soup setup for me is pretty much just the idea that, right, we've created that low of day. If price is going to create a false breakout and actually remain within the high of low that is created so far, that's pretty much what I'm trying to soup, right? So 350 often creates like a false run on some type of liquidity. So for me entering here, the understanding would be that we're going to see it sweep low of day, but actually respect Tuesday's low, which is down here. So we shouldn't see Tuesday's low be breached, which is kind of where the stop's at. So we're expecting, right, just a quick creation of the new daily low, pick up that low, and then revert back into the range that was pretty much created like high to low from here. And it wouldn't even need to get all the way back like up into midpoint. Like, if, to be honest, if we did at 350 go lower, I would probably just close if we came back into this fair value gap or the first presented here. But the base assumption is that any move lower will be a false breakout. That we're consolidating. We don't actually want to attack lows aggressively. So if we somehow get back into this, that'll be manipulation. But so far, we are just kind of holding the new discounts that are being created here. Still stuck though, right? At that volume imbalance. That's really what we've been stuck at all power hour. So let's go to power hour. Look at the range. We've only moved 12 handles. Pretty small range. The real clean soup would have been here. That's kind of what we pointed out originally, was this. Right, because we have the stacked first presenteds. If we didn't want to actually clear this low of day, this low is all that price would have taken as it comes into this to target the highs. So that's perfectly valid. Some may have took that. I just wanted to see if we can get an actual like extreme new low of day. Still have a chance, but now that we've kind of got back above this, if we get above the volume imbalance, it's a little less likely. 5 minutes though, so we'll see what we get. But yeah, soups and consolidated markets are very nice. That should be right there. Look at the bodies though, right? Really holding that. 1 hour. So down close candle anchored inside of an inversion paired with first presented. See if that's a key area there. Volume imbalance still holding strong, acting like an absolute wall on price. It's only tried to get above it once, but that candle gets negated as we speak about here. Immediately returning below. Next few candles try, can't do it. But as we said, if we're going to want to get above, we're running out of time here on the day. So price will start trying to reach. Like if it wants to close right into midnight and pretty much just settle there for its power of 3. I could actually see that. And the soup would have been this low back up into midnight. Not low of day. Let's see if we can't get a quick little movement here. Leave all these highs, fall out of bed. Low of day seems unlikely. What we may try to do at 350, and this will be more for like experimentation for y'all, right, is oftentimes, as we say, if we're choppy heading into 350, the first movement that candle makes is really a lot of times that false movement. So we might try to fade that, whatever that first original movement is at 350. Especially if it runs out some form of liquidity. And if it just blasts against us, that'll just be, right, fine. Because that's less probable to happen, so I'm fine eating a stop like that. Two minutes. What do we got to offer? All right, put your guesses in now. Are we going up or down immediately at 350? 50-50 shot. Down first. Okay, I think that I'd like that too. Down first, get me in. All on red. I like that. I like that. This is where we can have some fun with price, right? Trading is boring, but you still got to be entertained at some point, or else you'll just give up. But yeah, I like that. 50-50. Let's see if we go lower. If we run out that low, I might just buy there without having to actually wait for this. You think up, then down. Oh, all right, we're pretty split. 15 seconds. Get your bets in. I like that we left the relative equal highs, so if we can go down first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretty much layer in position. So I'll try to get one here, and I'll do one more here if it comes down to this. That's how I'll kind of work with that, with the stop being here. Ooh, we didn't want to keep the low. Let's see. 350 now. Up first, up first. Didn't want up first. We got to hold that. If we come into here, I'm going to sell that fair value gap. Nothing, right? Even 350, lackluster. So yeah, textbook just a little choppy into the day. We'll still try to engage with something though. I think if we break through highs, sell the highs. Is there like a 2 or 5 up here? There's the 5 up here. Hey, yes sir. Okay, go crazy. He's accidentally balling. That's what you call a day right there. Sometimes you just need to be lucky. We take it. It's gonna fall out of bed now, watch, for sure, right? First movement up into the premium, you short there. Falls out of bed into a low. Where it clears the sell side and then it reverts back and we get out. That's what's gonna happen. Yep, just a reversion to the mean, man. Okay. All right, coming off this low to the high, midpoint. Stacking ranges, you can then look at actually the high to the lowest low, midpoint. So you can see why we're just really right consolidating near midpoints of the range. Nothing fun, boring price. Do I think it'll be solid tomorrow? I mean, no. If I'm being completely honest, no. I think it'll be just like today, where we're gonna have to be very precise, quick. Because I mean, it's just not, there's nothing really in here that indicates we want to go anywhere. I do like that weekly though. The fact that we traded into that weekly and we left the high there. So that could be a good, that could set us into motion to finally start moving legitimately. Right, because like, let's hide everything again, go to a higher time frame. Higher time frames are absolute just stuck, right? Nothing here within a higher time frame. As we said, within the last 4 hours, we've gone 23. We've made 23 4-hour candles that have yet to have any type of fair value gap or anything. That is just very gross for price delivery. It's almost something like this, right? We're like in this stage of the price right now, where if we can clear that range and then we start moving, that's kind of what I would see, but I'd want to see that to the downside. So we're stuck with all of this nonsense. Try to break out of this low ideally, and then see if we can't come down at least into the 4-hour here. I like that. Bring this back up. Because we have this 4-hour, which is an inversion. We've used it once, but the actual bullish fair value gap is here, and we've yet to trade into that. So we have sell side there, and an untapped inefficiency. If we can move lower, I'd like to see that. Where are we at as far as, okay, so yeah, just ugly here. We can go ahead and move this out. He said 4 o'clock could cook, to be honest. I'm not convinced, to be honest. If we get up midnight, I still might try to short that into the close. Let's see. Quick stab of midnight paired with 5-minute fair value gap. Yep. Like that. Short the midnight open with the swing high back into first presented 1-to-1. That's fun. Fuck it, we ball. Don't take this, you're gonna lose money. It will lose. Earnings or something, maybe. Yeah, I don't really keep track of earnings too much, I forget about that, but yeah, that could do something. That could be some overnight movement. Okay, let's give it some fake juice. Bruh, get up in there. A little fake pump up into midnight. Absolute reject for midnight. I like that there is a volume imbalance right there, right? So look to the left. 1 minute aligned, that's cool. Stop loss, as we said, will be the equal highs, because we should hold the 5-minute. Like if this is going to be a little manipulation, this 5-minute fair value gap is what we'd want to hold. We just hit the low of it perfectly. We're hoping for a little bit deeper run into it. Maybe doesn't want to do it though. The volume imbalance holding bullish, as we said. If we get above that at all, it should offer support. We do. So let's see if we can't get support up into that. We've hit the 5-minute perfectly there. I was hoping for a little bit more of a run up into that and then the rejection lower. Just right back into pretty much equilibrium of this choppiness. Make an attempt. All right, let's see if we get the tap in. Bruh. Can you hear my fault? Watch out, buddy. He's purring. Oh, he's big. He a big cat, bro. He do be getting crazy though. He's aggressive with the purrs. He be rumbling. Damn, we missed that by a tick. Ain't no way. How big were you trading when you did your own capital? Are you asking like how much I had in the account, or what do you mean? How big? Or like how long I waited? Oh, for me it's always 1/4%. So it doesn't really like matter, I guess, on, I don't base it off of, like, I guess, contracts per se, like 1, 2, 3. I do it based off overall account size. So it's just based off whatever the account size is, right? So like for when I had my 300K accounts, it was just 1/4%. 50K accounts, 1/4%. I don't really size up the actual contracts. I size up the capital, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Size don't, that's funny. But also, like, for my own accounts, I only really do options. Oh, then we were able to get tagged right there. All right, let's see if the last 5 minutes right now. Quick sell down. It was midnight. I want to see the quick rejection back into the range, as we said. Next 5 minutes here. If we don't move away quickly, we might actually just settle right on midnight. And if we get to 405 without really doing much, I'll just manually close wherever we are. We should probably just take 5 handles and call it a day, to be honest. Where would that even get us? Right at this low? That's kind of a perfect area to stop us. Trading very late into the day. I'm gonna do that. 1 to 1. Matter of fact, if this candlestick closes like that, we could already go like this. Boom, there we go. Okay. Bearish volume balance. This is actually when I wouldn't mind going break even right away. So immediately break even because we're not going to have any risk with it being late into the day. So you either get profit or you get break even. So risk-free trade. Asia may, honestly, we may get something like Tuesday where Asia just rips. Which if that's the case, then we definitely would expect consolidation again tomorrow, but that's okay. So like I'm putting break even because we would need to hold the bearish volume imbalance that we're trying to create right now. We've opened lower than where this candlestick closed, so I'd like to see that stay open and just run right into that volume imbalance. If anything, you only use the low of this. If we get stopped to break even, I'm fine, right? Because it's already late in the day. It's 4 o'clock. Past my window usually. We got entered right at 4 though, so we're lucky. Or 3:59, so 1 minute before my cutoff, which means we can hold for break even. As we said, we would need to see immediate rejection off the low of this 5 minute. Now that we hit its midpoint, that's why I'm going break even, because I don't even want to see this, like the lower quarter of that. If I bring up the anatomy of it, right, I don't even want to see this lower quarter, which we've already hit. So my stop is above the most recent candle that's formed near it. Trying, as I said, don't want to see anything higher than that. Need to break lower. Trading your own capital for NQ. Are you doing straight like minis or micros? Because yeah, that is, if you're going to NQ, 1 contract per movement is crazy. But even with NQ, like I try to go based off, right, percentage of risk size. And really I trade ES more than anything. I did take a short on NQ today, which is very rare, but it was a little bit cleaner. So as we said, at 405, if we have nothing, we'll just close with whatever profit we have if we're still in profit at this point. But I want to see us dive. Let's get into this volume imbalance down here. There we go. All right, so we come back up into it. So we're good there. Wrap her up. So overall, he's ugly, to be honest. I'll show you. I only took 1 real entry, and that was on NQ. Let me log in here. All right, so as we broke away outside of our opening range gap, we were heavy as hell. We create the wick, we trade through the wick. We had a fair value gap in there. And for me, that's all I needed, right? Quick short to then target midnight and the low here. So we got out there. We actually had some positive slippage, which was nice because price moved quickly here. So a nice little run. I don't even know how many handles that is. I'm not too familiar. 25 handles, so 100 points basically. Yeah, we take that. But that was all for today. Very choppy, right? So I'm not very keen to try to push too much. Like a CPI, as we often say, if CPI is going to completely revert its range, that already to me is just a little indication of ugly price delivery. So we did get a nice sell-off here, which is what we were able to capitalize on the rundown. But besides that, right, pretty much just consolidation, sell-off, and then ending the day with more consolidation. So yeah, as we head into tomorrow, higher time frame real quick. Hide it all. As we said, we are trading off of now a weekly fair value gap. The body's held that perfectly. We have put in a high. So if we come back tomorrow and the 4 hour has closed below a swing point, we'll simply just look for continued lower prices. That's kind of what I would prefer. Conversely, just so we're aware, like let's say that, let's see what we have here. Let's clear everything within these fair value gaps. So we have the weekly and the 4 hour. These are kind of my key reference points for the time being. Nah, I mean, we really would need to get above the weekly for me to feel comfortable trying to go long. So yeah, we're just honestly in a very tricky position, even for me, to where we can kind of frame both sides. And if that's the case, we just need more price delivery. If I had to absolutely choose a direction, I would favor a retest of that 4 hour. So that's kind of what we'll be looking for. Yeah, until then, have a good rest of the afternoon, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at 9:25 Eastern to get it started again. So yeah, take care, and we'll talk in the morning. See you guys around.